Today's episode of the Beauty Industry podcast is in collaboration with the Eastern Domestic Violence Services. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Shaw. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today's episode is one which I've wanted to approach for the beauty industry community for a little while now. However, I've been wanting to do so via the correct channel. Earlier this year at the Melbourne Beauty Expo, I spotted the Eastern Domestic Violence Service stand and started talking to the lovely Melanie, who filled me in on their Hair 3 Hours initiative for salon and spa professionals. In Australia, a woman dies every 5 days due to family violence. Research shows that many women establish close relationships with their salon and spa professionals and confide in them about violence or controlling behaviour that they're experiencing at home. There is nothing more important to our industry than protecting our clients and our teams, and by creating conversation around recognising a client who needs a way out, or by giving therapists the correct tools and training to be able to articulate these conversations correctly and conscientiously. Today I'm speaking with Mandy Hudson, Educator for the Hair 3 Hours program. Mandy has 30 years experience providing community education in sexual and reproductive health, mental health, diversity and inclusive practice, and family violence. Mandy has been a part of the Education and Training Unit at EDVOS since it began in 2017 and has trained over 2,000 people, including 400 salon professionals, in how to recognise, respond, and refer around family violence. Today's episode is here to shed light on identifying signs of family violence and how to approach the topic safely with colleagues, clients, and others. Mandy provides us knowledge on how to react to clients opening up about family violence and gives us information on how to remain professional and take the right steps when there is a disclosure. Just one more thing before we launch into today's episode. If today's topic sounds a little too familiar for yourself or for someone close to you, please reach out to the Eastern Domestic Violence Services, phone 1-800-RESPECT hotline, or if you are in immediate danger, phone 000. From the Eastern Domestic Violence Services, today we welcome Mandy Hudson.
Tamara, thank you for having me.
It is our absolute pleasure. So Mandy, we generally start by asking our guests to describe how they entered into the pathway that they're currently in. So where did it all begin for you?
I think where it began was probably in the 80s when I was volunteering at Family Planning Victoria, and in response to my volunteering, they actually offered to train me as one of their community educators. And it's just from there, it's been amazing. So I worked in that area for 15 years. I worked and have worked at La Trobe Uni, at the Gay and Lesbian Health Victoria, running training, diversity training and inclusive practice for them for probably 8 years. I have worked as a teen and youth mental health first aid trainer, and now working at EDVOS since 2017. So I guess I've always had a passion for working across health, well-being, social justice. I'm trained as a teacher, but never quite liked working in schools. And this has just given me a different way to use those skills as a teacher. And I love meeting people, actually. That's why I do this work.
It would definitely be fun traveling around and meeting all the different personalities and faces.
Oh, yeah. And you just meet some remarkable people working out there in the different areas. It's just great.
I can imagine. You sound like a real life angel already.
Oh dear. That's pressure.
So tell us about the Eastern Domestic Violence Services. We refer to it as EDVOS because it's such a lengthy name. So EDVOS from here on out, and the Hair 3Rs program.
So EDVOS is the largest specialist family violence service in the Eastern region. So we cover 7 local government authorities. We are solely a specialist family violence service. We're not necessarily a crisis service. We're about assessment, response, and recovery. But also in 2017, we added primary prevention with our primary prevention team and early intervention with our education and training team. So it's a really lovely combination of services that we provide to women and children, particularly responding to family violence in the eastern region of metropolitan Melbourne. Going for probably 23 years now, started with a staff of maybe 20, and to date I think we probably have over 100 staff with 29 different language groups to reflect the languages spoken in the eastern region. So that's EDVOS, major service. It's great work. And then the Hair 3Rs program grew out of well, I guess some research into, that was done internationally around beauty therapists or beauty salon professionals being so well placed to respond, to recognise and respond and refer around family violence with their clients or with workers in salons. And while we're the first of its kind in Australia, when we are one of a number across the world, we in the States, in Canada, Puerto Rico, and New Zealand, there are other similar programs running, but we're the first of its kind in Australia.
Fantastic, and doing some amazing work, as I mentioned in the introduction there. As soon as I heard about the kind of good services that you're doing and just bringing communication to the forefront, I just wanted so badly to express this to our audience and really show them that this is, as you're saying, the first of its kind in Australia, to actually recognize that the beauty and the hair industry is at the forefront of that connection with clients.
Absolutely. And I think they've known it forever. And I notice when we go out to run sessions that the therapists are saying, oh, wow, this is amazing for our work to be recognised in the connection relationship we have with our clients with this training is fabulous.
Fantastic. And so can you just deep dive a little further into the content of the session and how that's delivered with the Hair 3Rs program?
Happy to. So I've done most of the training across Melbourne and now across some of the other states in Australia. We made it a lot of colour and movement so that so we have a PowerPoint, of course, with some information, and primarily the focus is about what is family violence, how to recognise family violence, particularly in a salon setting, because there are going to be particular signs that therapists or salon professionals will see that other people don't, how to respond, how to ask the questions, and how to refer, and very clearly identifying what the role is of salon professionals. We don't want them to be the counsellors or the therapists because, just as I wouldn't expect a salon professional to think I could do a haircut, we don't want them to be the therapists and feeling like they have to take care of women on their own. So in the training, we do that kind of content, but we have activities, small group activities to draw on their knowledge and skills already that they have. We have videos, really powerful videos, and we have the PowerPoint. So a lot of colour and movement in a 2.5, 3 hour session, which is great. And I think they've really appreciated that colour and movement.
Yeah, fantastic. And so the main three parts of the session are recognize, respond, and refer. I love how you don't have recommend or give advice in there because, as you're saying, I think sometimes as beauty therapists and in the hair world as well, we can, and especially being women, we can want to offer our own advice and our own experiences, but you're kind of just saying, well, recognize the situation, respond, and then refer on, rather than taking all of that emotional kind of onus and heaviness onto you and thinking that you're the sole advice giver in the situation.
And I think that they have felt that in the past, that they have to have nowhere to go with it and they don't know what to say, or they're afraid they've said, when we talk to them, they've gone, gee, if I'd known that, I wouldn't have said that. And so we want them to feel like they've got these skills and information and responses that are appropriate for women, and not to feel like they are the sole support person, because that leaves them in a vulnerable situation and it leaves the woman in a vulnerable situation too.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct there. And for those who may be listening and just aren't quite sure, can you give us a bit of a brief on what is classified as domestic violence?
Sure. So we now in Victoria talk about it as being family violence, but domestic violence has historically been that term that's been used. And if you go to other states and territories in Australia, they will still use that term. But I think in 2008, when family violence became a criminal act, the act actually says that it's been used to describe acts of violence between family members, including intimate relationships between a parent and a child, between caretakers or partners against elders, and between siblings. So if you notice, it's much broader than intimate partner violence, which is what we've thought of as domestic violence in the past. It provides us with a much broader lens to look at family violence and offer supports to people responding to family violence, because we know it's not just women, it's children as well. Their elder abuse, is something that we need to spend a lot of time on. And also we need to acknowledge the members of the lesbian, gay, bi, trans and intersex community and their experience of intimate partner or family violence. So I guess the other thing I want to say too is it's different from relationships that are going through tough times. When we talk about family violence, we talk about someone abusing power and control, so choosing to use power and control in an ongoing way that leaves somebody feeling unsafe.
It's interesting that you say power and control, because sometimes you hear the word violence and you think that it's all physical, but sometimes it can be very manipulative and controlling.
Absolutely. And so we talk about all those differences, because of course people think, yep, it's physical, but they don't think about, financial, emotional, verbal, intimidating behaviour, pets and animals, children, that violence, spiritual, social. So it is really broad. And I think for salon professionals, that they see signs that, if we only thought about it being physical, they wouldn't see those signs, like women coming in and struggling with how they pay for a haircut or a treatment, things like that. And we talk about that, and we talk about those particular indicators that may be family violence that salon professionals are most likely to see.
Interesting, very interesting. And often, I was going to say women don't open up, but I guess if we're talking about family violence, it can be both genders, and I'm sure it absolutely is. And so people in general aren't opening up and seeking help when it does come to family violence. Why is that, do you think?
I think historically we've said it's a private matter. And I think that term domestic violence keeps it like that. It's like it's behind closed doors. You know, women are most likely to experience violence from a male she knows. It's often in a home or a private place, and it's often ongoing. Men experience violence quite differently in terms of, if we look at the gendered nature of violence, that, you know, they're likely to experience violence from a man they don't know in a public place and a one-off event. So I think we have myths we have to dispel. We have got stereotypes about family violence that some have prevented us from talking about it. I think what's great is at our place at EDVOS, we saw in 1 year an 84% increase in women referring themselves to our service. And that is a great thing, because that's saying women are feeling safer to refer. They're saying, when we go there, we're going to be believed. I think historically women have not been believed. They've been blamed. They blame themselves, but they've also been blamed by family and the community. What did they do wrong? And that's changing. And if you look at the media, the ads, I think this government has responded brilliantly to the Royal Commission into Family Violence in 2016. We're seeing amazing public awareness ads on TV. I think all of those things are making a difference to women feeling like it's okay to say.
Yeah, for sure. And in talking about believing, do you think also sometimes it's the person being affected that almost doesn't believe it? For example,
Yes.
If somebody said, oh, my partner's not letting me spend money this week, from an external point of view, you would think, oh, something's not quite right there. But from an internal point of view, when that's happening, you might just think, oh, it's just a silly little discussion, or, you know, it's a silly hurdle that we're facing this week, but actually don't realize that that can develop into something that's a little bit more traumatic.
Absolutely. And I think that's why public education is so important. So we start, because I think a lot of people don't see it as family violence. They don't see it as controlling. They minimise it. I think the community has minimised it over the years, but I think women or people in violent relationships also minimise it for lots of reasons. There's a real fear of disclosing, I think, for people, as shame, stigma, but there's also, don't forget, a commitment to a relationship, you know, and people want and hope for behaviour change. And they, you know, he says he'll change. They hope that they're invested in the relationship, and that makes it hard. It also makes it hard when there are kids involved, staying for the kids, or they've tried to leave before and it just hasn't worked out. They often say it takes 5 to 7 attempts before a woman will ultimately leave a violent relationship.
5 to 7, goodness, sometimes that can be 5 to 7 too many times.
Yes, indeed, it can be. Yeah, for sure.
I guess as therapists, we are in a very special but also very personal place with our clients, because we do form such, you know, very close connections with them, and even they develop into friendships, which is why our clients do feel this level of trust within us and they do open up to us. What should a therapist do if a client does disclose some of their experiences at home and the therapist feels like the client could be at risk?
Well, we say in our training, if a therapist thinks a woman is an imminent risk of danger to her life, or she's in danger of being seriously harmed, you ring 000. That you say, hopefully, you might save someone's life. If on the other hand, a woman discloses, starts talking about some stuff that's happening at home, it's about responding by believing. I believe you. I hear what you're saying. Is there anything I can do to help you? I know there are services that can support you around this, but it is entirely up to the woman then as to how she acts on this. You can't push a woman into going for help, because that further disempowers an already disempowered person. But you can certainly offer that comforting, caring, understanding when she does disclose, and then offer a referral.
And I love what you're saying there about hearing and valuing and validating the client as well. And just something so simple, it sounded really powerful. I'm hearing you and I'm listening to you and I'm here for you as well.
Yep.
Sometimes, because I think this big glossy world of social media, everyone thinks that they're kind of traveling along and they're doing their best, pardon me, or they're wanting to look like they have this perception that is very fancy, and people don't want to disclose their experiences. So I think sometimes when people are just really open and honest and raw, just listening and actually hearing to listen rather than just hearing to respond.
Absolutely. That they don't have to solve it. They just don't have to solve it. And for many of us, that's exactly where we go. Oh, how can I make this better? Well, you can't always make it better. You can help someone to, take that first step of that journey to getting some help. But like I said, it's up to them. And I guess the other thing we say to, when we talk about indicators, we talk about they may not be indicators of family violence. I say to them when I work with salon professionals, I don't want you to walk out of here with just a great big torch that you're going to shine and see family violence lurking everywhere, because it may not be family violence. So how do you know? You have to ask the question. So it is about saying things like, it may be that sometimes you might go, gosh, you've got a clump of hair missing. Is everything okay? I'm worried about you. Or it may be that you've listened really well to someone's conversation, and you can respond to their conversation. When they say, oh, things are pretty tense at home, it may be that you're able to go, what does that look like? What does tense mean to you? Or he doesn't let me see my friends or family much anymore. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Why has that happened? So it's about being able to ask those questions, have those conversations.
And giving the therapist the tools to feel confident without feeling like they might be prying.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing, sorry, Tamara, I know I interrupted you, but the other thing we say to them, because salons are busy places, confidentiality is pretty tricky sometimes in a salon. We say too, we've got, when we go out and do a session, as part of what they get from doing a session with us is they get, first of all, a lovely certificate, a button that they can wear on their uniform, if they wear a uniform. We give them little stickers that they can stick on their mirrors that just says hair 3Rs, posters that they can put in the toilets, and cards and things like that. And what I say about that is, what you're doing when you put these things up is you're creating a safe space. Because even if you can't have the conversation with a woman because it's just not appropriate, actually having those things around your salon is flagging to women. They may say, oh, what's that thing sticking on your mirror there? Oh, well, we did some training in family violence. And I love to tell you a story of a salon that we worked at where a woman had been experiencing family violence for a long time and had made the decision to leave. And she came into the salon to have a haircut, and she saw one of the posters up, and she said to her salon professional, she felt like crying because she felt so validated in what she'd done by seeing the poster up in that salon. So that is those sort of stories, and I have plenty of those stories that are just so wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and it's kind of just another little touch point that if somebody doesn't feel like speaking about it, you know, they may be having a colour on or waiting in the lounge ready to go in for a massage. And they
Yep.
might just pop their phone out and Google hair 3Rs and see and think, oh my God, this is the sign that I needed on this right day.
That's right. Absolutely. Just beautiful synchronicity. And they might write down, the number and follow it up if they want to.
And so, following up or checking in from a business owner point of view, what can they be doing with their staff on a regular basis as a debrief post treatment, for example?
Well, what's been great is actually running these sessions for whole salons. So it's not like just one person gets the training. Salon managers are saying, I want all my staff to get the training so everyone's on the same page. And for a salon owner to be able to just periodically, how are things going? And we talk about, one of the last slides we do is self-care, because we say, you're no good to anyone if you're struggling. And we talk about different ways for the salon professionals to look after themselves. And part of that is regular debriefing with managers, with other staff. So it's about providing that opportunity, asking the questions, how's it going? Has anyone, have you had any disclosures? Do you need to talk to me about any of this? Plus also knowing that there are services out in the community that the salon professionals can ring if they too have been struggling with something with a client. And as I say to them, we'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a heavy heart. We also talk about 1-800-RESPECT as a service that they can ring for counselling at any time. It's a 24-hour service. So self-care is a big part of the training that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially beauty and spa therapist, we can be very energetically in tune. And so it's not only emotional baggage, almost for lack of a better word, that we take on, but it's also an energy and an intuition that can be very heavy if you're seeing 10 or 12 clients a day that you're carrying around with you. So exactly as you said there, self-care, and, whether that's spraying yourself with a cleansing mist to kind of let the energy go, or holding a favorite crystal in between clients. But definitely from a business owner point of view, sometimes we are so swept up in doing the books and, answering all the phones that it is always nice to check in with the staff at all times.
It is. And what I've seen with the salon professionals that I've worked with is there's a lovely camaraderie there, that is close and connected. Certainly with the ones I've seen, where I wouldn't be surprised if checking in wasn't part of the, that work ethic. But I think it's very important for salon managers to just be able to check in with staff after they've done this training and continue to check in.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a deep and expansive question: is there a way that we can prevent family or domestic violence at all?
Yes, I saw that question. I thought that is a pretty deep and expensive question. So I've got a couple of things that I would love to share with you, and I'm going to tell you that this is not stuff that I made up, okay? But I thought I did a bit of research, and what we talk about is, the community needs to challenge the condoning of violence against women. Men and women, all of us out there, when we hear it, when we see it, we need to be able to go, wait a second, that's not okay. We need to promote women's independence and decision making, rather than seeing them as, that they do everything that their partners will say, which also leads into challenging gender stereotypes and roles. We say, gender inequality is the significant and major driver of family violence, we believe. And we say that gender inequality actually impacts negatively on both men and women. Because, boys are told they have to be big and tough and strong and in control. That's not useful. That's just not useful. And then I think the final thing is about strengthening positive, equal and respectful relationships. And we're seeing that as the respectful relationships education gets rolled out, not only across schools, primary and secondary, but we're doing quite a bit of work with early childhood educators. So it's about what do respectful relationships look like, so that this upcoming generation, that they just won't even understand. It's preventing violence before it starts. It's changing the story that we have all grown up with. And it's this upcoming generation who hopefully will do that along with us, though. We can be doing it as well in our own relationships and in the work we do.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening, if they're salon owners, will definitely want to encourage the conversation. And so can you just expand for us how somebody can, pardon me, book a Hair 3 Hours training session? What if they're not in Melbourne? How do they get access to you guys?
Okay, brilliant question. Because, you know, actually, since last July, we've been doing this training without funding. And we just are so committed to it. We want to keep going, and we have people it's just starting to take off again. So what we say to people is they can email us at training@edvos.org.au. I'm sure you're writing that down, are you?
Yes.
They can call EDVOS on 9259 4200. Or they can go and look at our Facebook and Instagram where they go at Hair 3 Hours. And we would just love to keep training. I'm going to Western Australia to do some training. I've been up in Brisbane. I've been in Canberra. I'm going up to Albury. It's just brilliant that people are going, oh, this is good. We do this for our staff. And, you know, I guess we're looking for money because we want to be able to do it across Australia and keep going with it. We've trained 400 salon professionals so far, including all the pre-service students in hair and beauty at Box Hill TAFE, which is awesome. They left with that under their belts, which was just fabulous. We worked at Victoria University as well with their pre-service students. So we want to keep training people. So I just say, bring it on, you know, ring us, book a training. We'll come to your salon. We need 5 people at least. That's the minimum number. And we'll come out to your salon and we'll work with you, particularly in Metro Melbourne. If it's further afield, we need to have discussion about some money, but hopefully not too much.
Fantastic. So perhaps I'll do a little call out. If you are a salon owner and you've got 5 or more, then definitely get in touch directly with Mandy and the team at Hair 3 Hours and EDVOS. If you are a sole trader, or maybe you've just got 2 or 3 staff, maybe if you'd like to email me and perhaps I can put together a group of 5 or more from different owners, and we can organise an inclusive date where we can kind of all come together and that way kind of maximise the number in your time.
Tamara, that is awesome. I love your work. That's happy. And like, as you said, you can help them do it, but they can also get together with the other salons in your community. Bring it together, come together and have a great evening or day, whenever you want to run it. We'll respond, okay?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your conversation today. It's something that is so important that we need to recognise as business owners and as therapists. And as you said, sometimes it's not just something as black and white as you know, having a bruise or having a broken limb. It can be very emotional and less physical. Yep. So it's nice to be able to hear and validate and give our clients the time of day to listen to what they're saying, and, you know, just be that comforting voice, however, not a voice of advice as such, but a voice as a response and referral.
Perfect. That's just brilliant, you know.
Amazing.
We truly love working with the salon professionals. They are so receptive. It's great.
Fantastic. So I will be sure to pop all of the details in the show notes for the phone number and also the email if you'd like to reach out to Mandy and the team at EDVOS and Hair 3 Arts program and book yourself a session, as I'm sure you all will want to. And I'd love to say thank you so much for your time this morning and all of your advice and conversation there, Mandy. It's been amazing.
Tamara, thank you. We're really grateful for you doing this podcast and just getting the word out there. It's been brilliant for us too.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
I hope today's episode has brought awareness to family violence and the impact it can have on our industry, our clients, and our teams. If you wish to book Mandy and the team at EDVOS for a training session in your space, please do so via the details listed in today's show notes. Mandy mentioned when we were off air that they have some upcoming training workshops in Mildura and Albury-Wodonga across May and June. So if you are or if you know of a business that would benefit from sitting in on those sessions, please do show them this episode. As always, beauty industry and our wider community is always here for you, both personally and professionally. And if you need a set of ears to listen to or just a coffee and a chinwag, we are here with open communication lines at all times. Until next time, stay connected.